and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with us, Shazad Khan, the wonderful Shazad Khan, and Maha Mukhtim. I hope you guys are ready to start your day. I'm really sorry, Shazad. You know that pressure of what you said last time? I was like, oh no, I should say something nice, and then it was too late.
It's perfectly all right. Assalamu alaikum. I hope everybody out there is having a good time, and they're pretty much well in shape for the weekend too as well, because it's going to be day after tomorrow. But today, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to rise and shine, wake and bake, get up, and be more focused about whatever you want to be or you want to achieve in life, or whatever your destiny is. Every day matters, every day counts, and we should always be thankful to Allah that He's actually given us another chance to fulfill our destiny.
Wonderful. So, that's the thing. I haven't done an introduction for so long because, we were trying out different things, especially last year. So now, my hellos, like when you're not here, they're much better. But when you're here, it's like, well, you have such a long introduction that it just feels
So probably what I can do is that, you do your hellos and then I walk in and then I, mic up. And
okay, right. So I'm supposed to sit through your hellos and you're not even going to sit through my 1 minute hello.
Well, wow, I can, but you said that when I'm not around, your hellos are great. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, today, the day is Thursday.
Yes.
And what we're going to do right now is we're going to let you know what's happening around the world. Well, very different and basic news coming up. Good morning. Very different news today. China's aircraft carrier Liaoning recently carried out a drill in the South China Sea after participating in the naval parade. The drill combined multiple projects, including reconnaissance and warning system construction, electronic countermeasures, as well as air and sea combat, so as to examine and improve the combat capability of the Navy. And the good news for all the Saudis out there.
They have unveiled its first cinema in over 35 years with a private screening of the blockbuster Black Panther, the first in the series of trial runs before movie theaters open to the wider public.
And I think it's amazing. It's going to add up to their economy too, and then the industry is going to grow. They're going to make new films.
Exactly. And also, this showing will be an invitation-only gala event that comes after the Kingdom lifted the ban on cinemas last year. The Kingdom shuttered cinemas in the early... Oh, it's finished there.
Wow, good news. Yeah. But good news for all those Pakistanis planning a weekend ahead. Intermittent rain continued in upper parts of country, including Rawalpindi. Islamabad, as Met Office predicted more rain till tomorrow. According to Met Office, more rain, thunder shower with gusty winds is expected at scattered places in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Fatah, Islamabad, Upper Punjab, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir.
Your news reading side is coming out again.
Yeah, I think so.
And you're welcome for the rain. I'm happy that I brought it back with me.
It's perfect. It's perfectly all right. But other than that, talking about rain and thunderstorms or probably gusty winds, we are very much in line with what we wanted to discuss today.
Absolutely. It's a perfect way to lead into it. And, before this year, we had seen that there was no rainfall happening. Things were getting dry. The dams, the lakes, they were depleting in the amount of water there was. Because even in Khanpur, even up until a couple of weeks ago, comparatively to last year, there is a lack of water.
Exactly. And we see elsewhere, even in the newspapers or probably on Twitter or on different social media platforms, that people are continuously saying that the world has actually struck water crisis. Well, this is something which we'll be discussing today, but it will be more in line with the Pakistani version of it, where we are, where are our reservoirs, and what kind of water management plans we need to come up with.
And also, not just that, because that is, an advanced, conversation, but also just to give you the information of, what are our reservoirs, what are our dams, where are they, who is providing water to you as well, because with this lack of information, then we kind of get swayed by all these kind of conspiracy theories and people, kind of leading us astray, or, you don't know what's actually happening with the water.
And to, back this point, Maha, I was in conversation with somebody earlier when I was preparing for the show, and that gentleman actually said, I said that, there's going to be no water in a year to come, probably by 2025. This is what the day they call, or the year. And the gentleman goes like, he was so unaware of the facts. He goes like, oh, there's like 70% of the world is just water. So where is all of this water going? And I was like, you cannot drink all of that water. You cannot use it because, there are different minerals in it and it can be very dangerous.
Exactly.
Even other than that, Asian Development Bank and then World Bank has actually categorized us to experience acute water shortage. Even other than that, NASA is saying that the world is actually gone beyond the point where 1/3 of the water is actually being consumed, so it's not coming back. And we haven't been replacing the water we have been using. And the article in Dawn News says that the underground waters have depleted. So I don't know what we have been up to.
And we've seen already, we've discussed Cape Town many times that they're already suffering water crisis. They have to go and get water now. They've run out. So, we don't want the same thing to happen, and we don't want, lives to become unnecessarily difficult. So to discuss this very important topic, we've been joined by some wonderful guests in the studio. We've been joined by Mohammed Hassan Kazalbashi, is the country director of Oxfam Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Besides her, we've been joined by Farzana Sayed Abbasi. She is the Deputy General Manager of SAID. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Besides Man, we've been joined by Dr. Shahid Zia. He is the expert water climate change for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining us, and let's get the conversation started. A very hot topic in these days and time as well. And somebody even 2 years earlier ago, said to me that you will see that, the next fight is actually going to be on water. So first things first, what is the global situation in terms of water reservoirs and the water consumption?
Well, thank you very much. And as you rightly pointed out in your preamble, I mean, the next real crisis, global crisis, will be around water. Water, as you know, is necessary for life at all levels. And globally, we see a consistent depletion of this natural resource. Yes, people say, that 2/3 of the earth is covered with water, but, it happens to be seawater. And obviously, when we talk about water, we are talking about sweet water. We're talking about water that can be used for drinking purposes, that can be used for agricultural purposes. And until the time that scientists can use and develop methodologies of using seawater for drinking purposes, we are going to be confined to sweet water. The global phenomena is in front of you. I mean, regions of the world are already at breaking point, if not beyond. I mean, the Middle East, of course, comes front and center. Is an area that is highly densely populated and extremely water scarce. These examples of Cape Town you gave are going to become the norm, unfortunately. Continents like Australia are already facing huge water shortages. And however, what they're doing is that they are realizing the situation and then developing policies, protocols, procedures to combat this crisis. Here in Pakistan, unfortunately, there is a huge crisis in front of us. You were very right in pointing out that 2025 is one year that the pundits are predicting, after which there will be a severe water crisis here. But what we're seeing in front of us that A, there is a lack of awareness around how water scarce the country is, and B, the fact that the policies and governance of the water that we do have, we are blessed with the Indus River, but the management and governance of that river is causing huge water depletion.
Okay, wonderful. So that, that's now moving on then, coming to Pakistan then, I'll move on to Farzana. What's happening within Pakistan? Because if the rest of the world is already suffering, where are we? Because
We're in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Pakistan, and speaking about the provincial level scenarios,
Yes.
every 90 seconds a child dies from the waterborne diseases.
Okay.
And the women are still suffering in the rural areas to fetch water from the remote locations.
Okay.
And therefore that also affect their health and the social well-being they cannot spend quality time with their families
Right.
because they are so much occupied with the task of fetching water and collecting and safeguarding at the household level. And because the family members get ill with the waterborne diseases, they need to take care of those family members also. So the women are suffering. And the situation at the Sindh and Punjab, we are I'm leading a women's delegation for the expo visit of the water related organizations in Lahore and Punjab. We visited PIDA, and we have SIDA. I belong to SIDA in Sindh. Both are struggling and both are taking water from the Indus River. The Indus River is the only source for the Sindh, for the water and water supply to Karachi and the coastal areas and to the arid regions and to the domestic user, and the consumer is the commercial user also. So the source is the only Indus water. And when we visited PIDA, we were surprised that they are also, despite of having 5 rivers to them, they are getting water from the Indus River.
Okay.
So their former organizations are constituted on those main and branch canals which are of taking the water from the Indus River.
Okay.
So this was surprising to note, and there is no regulation. We have Indus Water Treaty and the IRSA, Indus River Authority. But unfortunately, all of the segments of society are not satisfied with the role of the IRSA, and then they think, they have always pointed out to revisit the Indus Water Treaty,
Okay.
and to revisit the role of the Indus River Authority, because to the barrages of Sindh, the water that we get is from the Chashma, and Punjab has 14 barrages. We have just 3 barrages, and our system is not so huge, and it obviously creates water scarcity.
And we will definitely come back to that. But since you mentioned about Indus River, so sir, Dr. Saab, I'm going to move on to you because we are here to analyze the current situation Pakistan faces. Now, talking about the Indus Basin, it was used to be in those 37 aquifers, largest aquifers, but now it is on number 2nd in being overstressed or being overused as well. We do not have alternatives, or do we have alternatives? Are we going in the right direction? What's the condition?
Thank you very much for organizing this debate on such an important issue.
Thank you.
While you are introducing us and the forum today, you showed the weather situation. It's going to rain today, and it's pleasant for us sitting in the cities. But when I was traveling in the field, and farmers found worried about these rains because they are busy in wheat harvest.
Of course.
And that is, I'll come back to this issue later, that is basically a change in the recent, in the maybe last few years, that there are more rains when the farmers harvest wheat.
Yes.
So they are trying to adapt to this situation.
And even the time zones are changing.
On the other day, I found people protesting in Toba Tek Singh because the canals are closed for repair purposes and closed for a longer time than before. And they are waiting for their water because they are preparing land for the cotton.
Yes.
So these changes that we are seeing in the water regime are translated into the actions that without sometimes knowing much what's demand at particular time for the farmers, and sometimes they are helpless because it's the availability and supply of water they are trying to manage into the canals. I'll come back to this issue from a different angle.
Sure.
We know water supplies are depleting, whether it's in the rivers or underground. when we have more pressure on the underground water, definitely it is going to deplete. It's not just the depleting of underground water. The more serious issue we are getting into is that more pumping of underground water is creating quality issues of the underground water. In most of the Punjab and in many parts of Sindh, the people used to drink underground water. It was quite fit for drinking and irrigation.
Okay.
And then we are seeing more and more of those rural communities are demanding and then shifting to the other sources of water, including water supply from the government. And why it's happening? Because we are not managing our even underground water very well. That is another huge
I
issue.
still
We'll
don't know
come
how
back.
do we manage underground
Yeah,
water.
we'll branch into that.
There are people have done it. Let me, if you
We
like.
will come back to that. We do not want to talk about solutions right now. We want to talk about
No,
problems.
I'm saying is that 95% water, many different figures coming
Yeah.
from different reports, is going to agriculture.
Yeah.
And while population do put pressure on the water resources, but on agriculture dynamics are different. So land is the same or reducing due to the housing.
Okay.
We're putting our prime lands under housing. Even then, water for agriculture, every farmer is talking about is declining every year.
Right.
But because our dams are silted, their capacity is declining. Our rivers every year are bringing less water into the irrigation system every year. And demand for agriculture water due to the crops we are growing, the more and more area we are trying to put under those crops that demands more water. There is a dilemma. We are facing shortage of water, and then we are increasing area and under those crops which demand more water.
But they might get us more money
means
too as
we,
well
we,
if exported.
What's
we
the money
have
if
to
there's no
we,
water?
we have to focus on demand and then supply.
Absolutely.
And then adjust our policies in a very comprehensive way.
Okay.
So we will get back to the
We'll get
policy.
back. Yes.
But you see, I would like to disassociate the water issue from agriculture.
Okay.
Because as Dr. Shah has said that we are heavily focused around sugarcane and rice. Both of these crops are heavily water intensive.
Yes.
So yes, they may provide us with valuable foreign exchange, but if we are going to do it at the cost of losing vast amounts and vast quantities of water, then you know that dollars, the extra dollars you get, are still. I mean, you can't quench your thirst with $100 bill.
Yeah,
You see,
exactly.
you still need
Yeah.
high quality water for your household consumption.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact of the matter is that in the international community we talk about that this is a water scarce country, and yet our agricultural policies do not reflect that.
Okay.
So we then are caught in a dilemma internationally. Either you're telling the truth or you're not. Are you water scarce or you're not? If you're water scarce, why are you increasing your rice and sugarcane yields? Plus, we are not adapting our agriculture appropriately. Where we can do dry farming of rice, we can do dry farming of sugarcane, but those practices are not being adopted here.
Interesting.
No, but I'm very sorry, but I think I'll have to do justice with my job too as well. Now, since
Okay,
you
what is
men-
that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, if it feels bad to anybody out there, but we know that we have got a fixed number of sugar producing mills, right? And all of these people are very influential. How do you think that we'll bring them on the same page and on the same platform where we are actually going to form a policy where everybody's going to be a part of it? Now,
Which
this is
isn't-
what matters as a nation.
Yeah, which isn't detrimental to the country and the future generations as well.
Exactly. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, our policymakers, our
I'm
decision
scared where
makers
you're going with that.
are sitting in parliament, and the sugarcane and sugar mill owners are sitting there. The huge rice producers are also sitting in parliament. So obviously they will not be interested in reducing their yields. But the point is, you know, they're there not for their own interest. They are there to help and for the interest of the nation. And therefore, I mean, it is a very opportune time for us here in Pakistan to challenge our leadership, to challenge our politicians. It is an election year. We must find out what each and every political party is planning around around water, around water management. 2025 falls within their you know, political time, and as a result, understand directly, not just stories and not just ideas, not plans, because we now need to go into action.
Okay.
And that is where the citizenry of Pakistan must vote for and work with those political groups and politicians who really understand the need of the nation and not of themselves.
And these are parts of our sustainable development goals too as well.
Okay.
So we're way behind, I guess.
Precisely.
But this is what I want to move on to, because like you said, it's about the people, the citizens taking and associating with people who are going to do rules and policies that are beneficial for the country and for the nation. But what is happening, I want to ask Farzana here, with the ladies that you're working with these rural communities, are people aware of the actual situation? Because the only way they can get in line with the policies that are beneficial for them is if they are aware of the current situation. So what is happening? Are these, as we've mentioned, so the agriculture farmers, they are aware a little bit of the difference and the changes that are happening. What's happening on the ground level on a bigger scale near the urban areas?
In fact, our farmers community constitute both men and women landholders, and the rest of the landless majority constitute 62% of the population is out of that legislative scope.
Right, okay.
Our existing water laws do not include them.
Oh, right.
Because our water is dependent on the land entitlement.
Right.
So it is the issue of the only the landholder, and not the landless. So the landless used to work as laborers, farm laborers, both men and women. In fact, the situation is here. A World Bank report was published in Dawn newspaper, and it said that the groundwater is contaminated in the whole province of Sindh. And some of the experts, water experts, said that this contamination is water we get contaminated water from Punjab and in our Kotri barrage.
Okay.
So that is contaminated at the province level. So when it comes to Sindh, because of the huge dumping of the industrial waste and the medical waste and all the garbage is dumped into the and that water is not treated. So that water, contaminated underground water, is creating more diseases, and it is affecting human health.
Okay.
It has become the major danger for the human health. And Hani Commission, Justice Hani had been there in the towards the coastal area, Badin, and he has constituted a commission on the water quality, because the water that is managed by the irrigation department is also consumed not only for the agriculture purposes, for the drinking purposes also, and not by the human, it also by the animals.
Okay.
So
Now, Farzana ji, I'm sorry that I'm going to put you under the spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but you are a bit inclined towards Sindh as well. We were talking on a very larger scale. We wanted to talk about Pakistan. And if you brought in Punjab and you said that there was contaminated water, I think it's just because of the fact that we have a disagreement that Punjab has the best water systems or canal systems in the entire region, and the most oldest too as well. Other than that, I think, you know, our major agriculture sector actually is in Punjab. You know, we get the most of the crops from there. So if it would have been contaminated, the reports needs to be here so that, you know, we are sure about it. But since we want everybody to be together on this platform, so we'll leave it aside. We'll not talk about those provincial politics and what happens
Yeah.
and whatnots. We want to see the larger picture.
No hearsay.
We have Pakistani young people. We want to see Pakistan get better and better day by day. So we're working hand in hand. Now, sir, coming back to you, I know it is a very simple question and the answer is very simple, but just for all those people who are out there, what are the effects of water shortages on a country? And each and every dimension, even in life, even on the economy, even on, you know, imports and exports, businesses, how does things
Health.
work, industry, health,
We already
everything.
mentioned that.
Let me
And-
start.
May I interrupt? Before going to that question, let us agree that is there water shortage?
Yeah, there is.
No,
there
we
is.
all agree. That's why we're
That's
having this
something we agree
conversation.
on.
Yeah.
I think I'll start with the appreciation of Farzana saying that water quality is important, and that is the issue everywhere of upper riparians and upper riparians and the lower riparians. Upper riparians have the sort of privilege to pollute, and the lower riparians always suffer.
Yeah.
That's not just Punjab. Let's try to put it right. It's just all upper riparians, including India. India is trying to put their sewage water into Ravi. They're not letting the fresh water come into Ravi, but they're putting sewage water into Ravi, and then when it rains and it flows, it goes to our system also. But the industrial water will have to do something, and then I'll like to share here that we are working with the German corporation GIZ and DFID of British, trying to bring more sort of innovative solutions that how the industry can treat and then you not get that polluted water into the system, rather they can recycle and then reuse it. And then they've done very good experiments, and then Nishat and a couple of Kohinoor, they are already started treating the water. It has to be done at all levels. And the good thing is they have done it, and the bad part is they have nowhere to dispose that water into a separate way where that clean water will not mix again into the polluted water.
Okay.
So we'll have to make the things better, and then I'll add to this that we should not be approaching, to my opinion, the influential leadership and those sitting in the assembly passing sort of laws about the crops and the sugar and others. We should approach from the policy side, planning side, that how much sugar we need in the country, how much more water sugar cane is consuming, whether we should grow sugar cane in cotton area. Cotton, we are exporter, we are in the top 4 producers of the world, and that is the only crop supporting our economy. And then we need to see that we how to save cotton, while on sugar cane we are the most inefficient producer in the world.
Okay.
So we'll have to see the
Okay.
balance.
So we need to
and
do
and
perfection.
let me come back to the shortages. Water shortages have already started its impact on all aspects of life, and more so on agriculture. On all aspects of life, and I say there's hardly any area, now I'm talking about Punjab, where I have more knowledge in the cities and in the villages, where we have pure, dependable drinking water.
Okay.
Where we have now, in areas where we used to have good quality irrigation water, underground water to pump and use, in like rice areas, we are having depleted and polluted underground water.
Okay.
And then in some areas, some people are even talking about arsenic.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we will have to go in two aspects: the planning. We have to improve planning at all aspects, from local to the national, and then allocation of resources.
Amazing
Okay,
that is.
wonderful.
And the way you mentioned the hierarchy, I think it's just the flow of the water itself. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll head towards a documentary, and it is with the name of Flow. Go ahead, take a look, and take a listen to as well. Listen to it carefully, and then we have a few public service messages related to water shortages and what we need to do. Go ahead. Good morning.
Most people don't think about where their water comes from. They just turn on the tap and they expect it to be there. Those days are ending. Humans are changing the climate. We already see evidence about it. One of the most significant impacts of climate change will be on our water resources.
This notion that we'll have water forever is wrong. The world is running out of fresh water. Who owns water? Who gets to make the decisions about water?
Water privatization was forced on Bolivia by the World Bank.
Water is the most precious commodity for them in the world. It's blue gold.
Water is a common resource. Water is not a property.
The water sector is going to grow at 2 to 3 times the global economy over the next 20 years.
The market is amoral, and it's going to lead you to selling to those who can buy it and not to those who need it.
They're spending tens of millions of dollars to convince us that bottled water is better than tap water.
There is less than one person regulating the entire bottled water industry. People buying this stuff had no idea where it was coming from.
They took so much water, they're being sued in 5 states.
They kept pumping even then.
We're fighting this battle, this David and Goliath battle.
Water must be protected everywhere.
Who owns the water for survival owns you. And that's the picture that people have to understand.
It's not a Democratic issue and it's not a Republican issue. It's a people issue.
Without water, we have no society, we have no economy, we have no life.
People say that, well, water's a lot like air. You shouldn't charge for water. Well, okay, watch what happens.
We made a very good point, but now one thing it is that we've been talking about the water scarcity within Pakistan, and we're talking about how agriculture, how lives are being affected, the policies that are going into it, the people that are kind of have an influence over it. But now let's bring it back down to the social, individual level. As citizens, where we started off the conversation, what is our role? Because as Shehzad mentioned in the introduction, is that people think because the world is covered in water, like the whole earth, that we will never be short of it. But that's such a lack of information, and that's a lot of ignorance out there. So let me move on to you, sir. As individuals, what do we now need to start doing and really taking stock in home? And what are you guys as an organization as well? What are the campaigns that are being run?
Exactly. I mean, as far as water conservation is concerned, I mean, for me, it is the responsibility of each and every citizen of this country, irrespective of their social economic status. I can give you a very simple example. When you brush your teeth in the morning, if you turn the tap off while you're brushing, you will be able to save millions of gallons of water.
And I do it every day because I brush while I'm showering. I'm sorry to say that.
But you see, even so a very simple gesture as that can save millions of gallons. Using buckets instead of a shower will save you millions of gallons of water. Earlier Shehzad was talking about people washing cars. Wash your car on your lawn. So that with that water, you can also irrigate your lawn.
But then my mother does not like the tire marks on it.
Well, then you have to choose between your daughter not having water to drink from the tap or your tire lawn.
Why can't we have the rooftop water harvest every house to wash our cars?
Okay.
And the issue with Pakistan, quite frankly, is that 84% of our water arrives in a very short period of time, during the monsoon. So during that period of time, we have an abundance of water in the country. However, we don't have water storage capacity.
Right.
If we are able to store that water through reservoirs, through other means, through, as what Dr. Shahid was saying, we do rainwater harvesting, then we will be able to then use that water over an extended period of time. But the fact of the matter is, since we the climatic situation causes us to have 84% fall within 100, 150 days. We are unable to manage that water, hence for the rest of the year we are running on water shortages.
Okay.
And it boils down to the individual. It boils down to each and every person. You go to any sort of public area, you will see taps running or taps leaking. You will see inappropriate designs, water designs. I mean, houses not being designed to catch that water, and therefore having a lot of water losses.
Okay.
We have, mashallah, very sophisticated institutions here. In Jamshedpur University, I had the privilege of visiting the water center there that was established with the support of USAID. Very sophisticated professors, scientists from all over the world are working there to try and look at how best to use water for various purposes. For example, they are now using the sink water for the toilet.
Okay.
You see, so it's systems like that. They are already in place, but we just need to adapt it in Pakistan, and that is where we are lacking predominantly.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
And before we move on to the ladies that you can actually speak about the solutions to as well, ladies and gentlemen, just a small clip about how we waste water, daily almost. Go ahead.
So that was just some information for you guys out there. And now we're talking about the solutions. So Farzana, what solutions do you think that we can and should be applying already? And what can we do individually as well?
Yes, in fact, because of in line with the Sustainable Development Goals defined by the UN and the provincial level government, they are now more focusing on the integrated water resources management, because it was all previously it was seen that the water is managed by the irrigation department, and because our rural population, they take water for the drinking purposes also from the same system which are being used for the agriculture purposes. So now integrated water resources management is a very innovative concept, and it involves three principles. One is the people's participation, then the other is the technology, use of technology, and the other is the integration between the water related private and public sector organizations. So if these three principles are taken up and made and the policies which are drafted at the provincial level include all these three principles, we will be in better position to control and for the sensitization of the public, domestic consumer or the agriculture consumer. I think we need some advocacy programs and social mobilizations and behavior change communication also to in order to because when you go for the change, it is a change of the mindset.
Absolutely.
So if you are going for changing the mindsets of the people, then you need a appropriate program.
Absolutely. And Dr. Shahid?
I think we need to manage our water at all levels, and then as I use the term water stewardship, that means managing water in a more integrated way, managing demand and then supply. And when I say demand, our irrigation system, the largest in the world, is supply based. Whether you need it or not, you will get water. So you have to redo it on demand based water storage at the farm, and then use it when you need it. And then the second, as is mentioned, that we get most of our water in 2-3 months.
Yes.
Someone says either we are without water or underwater. So when we have excess water, we have to have storage. When we talk about storage, we always talk about dams, and then we get into one dam controversial thing and this and that. Subsurface water storage is the most efficient and useful way for us. And under our water stewardship program with GIZ and DFID, we are working with WASA and then trying to save this water as subsurface system that will store under the ground. That will also improve the underwater quality. We have successfully experimented, looking forward to have more resources and do it in a rural setup, where we have underground water not fit for irrigation or drinking. If we store this water, the rainwater underground, that will also help us. Whenever you get it back, you will get the pure water. The polluted water or the saline water will stay under it.
Okay, wonderful.
And when we have this monsoon, we have to divert that flood water to the areas where we can easily store in the natural storage.
Wonderful.
Like the river beds of Ravi, Satluj, Beas, we can use it as a storage, and then we also make the good system of subsurface water storage systems.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. There's so much information that we have shared with everyone, and it's been enlightening and it has been informative as well. But like we also mentioned that things become politicized, things have start being associated, as connected to an agenda. At the end of the day, it is people's livelihoods, it's their health, it's their it's their way of life and quality of life that's being affected as long as we stay ignorant and selfish about the fact.
Exactly. So that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. All we need to do is be probably that elder brother or the elder sister who roams around the house and probably checks each and every tap or probably the lock, whether the doors are locked or not.
Yeah.
So go ahead, anyone can do it. You just need to take an initiative, be an example, and people will follow.
Exactly. So if you would like any information on the water system and the water situation within Pakistan, log on to our Facebook fan page.
With the name of World This Morning.
Our Twitter page.
World This Morning without a G.
Our Daily Mission YouTube page.
World This Morning, World This Morning.
And the repeat is at
11 p.m.
And have a wonderful day, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
The next time, 1, 2, 3, good morning.